Okay, so I've heard some crazy takes on the gift of tongues, but this right here is something special.
You know that every time Paul in 1 Corinthians chapter 14 is talking about somebody uttering a tongue that is unintelligible, he's basically saying, why are you doing that? There's no use for it. Nobody understands. You're not building anybody up. It would be better for me to speak 5 words that are understandable.
What he says here is only partially true. He has taken Paul's situational instruction and made it a blanket rule about the gift of tongues. In context, Paul is addressing the use of tongues in a public setting where no interpreter is present. Now, in this type of situation, tongues isn't fruitful. No one understands what's being said, so it doesn't benefit the gathering or make sense to do it publicly, unless there is interpretation. When tongues are interpreted in a public setting, they actually strengthen, edify, and encourage those who hear.
I have a better one for you. Rather than doing all that, just pray or speak in your known language to God. He understands. The point comes across clearly.
So just here, he's told believers not to pray in tongues, and when you're praying, to talk to God in your native language, which completely goes against what Paul has taught in 1 Corinthians chapter 14. We oftentimes forget that praying in tongues or talking in tongues serves a dual function. You have talking in tongues, which is for public settings, and you have praying in tongues, which is for private devotion. You can see in 1 Corinthians chapter 14 verse 2 that tongues are directed to God. For one who speaks in tongues does not speak to men, but to God, for no one understands him, but he utters mysteries in the spirit. So in this scripture, you can see that tongues is speech to God and not primarily to people. Praying in tongues directly to God is something that even Paul himself practiced. You can see this in 1 Corinthians chapter 14 verse 15. Paul says, I will pray with my spirit, but I will also pray with understanding. What's crazier is that Paul even takes it to another level in 1 Corinthians chapter 14 verses 18 and 19, and he said that he speaks in tongues more than every believer. Watch this. Verse 18, I thank God that I speak in tongues more than all of you. Verse 19, yet in the church, I would rather speak 5 words. So what we clearly see from here is that privately, Paul is praying in tongues a lot, but when he comes to church, so that there's no confusion, so that there's edification and the church is built up, he would rather speak 5 words that everyone understands. So why you would come on big Instagram and big TikTok and tell people not to pray in tongues, but speak in a native language when they're talking to God, when Paul the apostle encourages us to go after this gift? Not only does he encourage us to go after this gift, but he also uses this gift himself, is beyond me.